Hello, America, and welcome to the Glenn Beck program and to The Blaze. It's Mr. Rigby. This is Marcus Luttrell's dog. This is the network that you're building. Today, I want to talk a little bit about post-traumatic stress syndrome. But more importantly, I want to talk to you about the commitment you and I made to ourselves on 9/11. And how this fits in with the news of the day. I am more and more disturbed by this story of Chris Kyle as each day goes by. There's no greater act of love than, if you would decide to lay down your life for another. I think that's why we like dogs so much. When there's trouble in the house, they don't even think of themselves. They go. Chris Kyle dedicated his life to this country. And when he was done serving on the battlefield, he came home. And then he continued his life of service. His mission was to help fellow battle-torn soldiers cope with coming home. If he chose to stay at home and make a lot of money, he'd be alive today, and he'd probably be a wealthy man. He would have been a wealthy man if he just would have taken the royalties from his book. But he didn't. He gave every dime of them up because he cared about his brother in arms. Our country owes this man and men like him more than we can possibly repay. So how do we show our appreciation? Well, I think in two ways. One, by changing our behavior. And two, a more temporal fix, I guess. This morning I went on the air and we were at $41,000 raised for his family and for his foundation. I asked Mercury One yesterday to help out. And so we set up the website. 100% of the proceeds go to help the family out. We set a $500,000 goal. And I think it would be nice to overwhelm this family with love and gratitude, and then also send a clear message. It's going to be us that fix this. 100% of the proceeds go to Kyle's foundation to help soldiers with PTSD and to the Kyle family. His wife Taya and their two young children, 6 and 8 years old. He didn't spend an awful lot of time with them. He didn't get a lot of chances. In the 3 years since he's been home, he spent about 6 months of that time at home. The rest of the time, he has been working to help. Last night, Marcus and a few friends, grieving friends, Marcus Luttrell and his wife, another current Navy SEAL, mother of a fallen SEAL, and Chris Kyle's brother, Jeff, came here to these studios after we finished the show, and they had to do a stupid thing on CNN, and then they issued a statement. And all of them are dealing with the tragic loss of somebody very close to them. And that's hard enough. It's hard enough to digest because it was senseless. He was murdered. He was trying to help somebody, and he was murdered. His whole life was about helping and standing up. But it's not supposed to end like this. It's tough enough to take for a family if he's killed overseas, but at least that one you saw coming. This one you didn't. And then to have your fellow countrymen so flippantly throw out words, the media and those who have an agenda, that only makes it even more mind-boggling. The misinformation and vicious attacks are incomprehensible. I responded to Ron Paul on the radio today. You can check that response out at TheBlaze.com. I'll tell you that I sat at the table and I asked a few questions, and I'm not even going to ask the questions or reveal the answers that were happening at the dinner table because they're not mine to release. But I can tell you this. What you're seeing in the media is not the true story. Chris was not treating somebody with a disorder. That's not what he was doing, as alleged by Ron Paul and the media. And those people who are taking that false report and using the death of an American hero to sanctimoniously trumpet a set of foreign policy beliefs is subhuman. If your first reaction after hearing about an American war hero dying is to dance on their grave in order to make a political point, and a really crappy one at that, you should be beyond ashamed of yourself. After today's radio show, I went upstairs to my office and I read some of the email. And these people are out of their mind nuts. Some of the hateful things that they're saying, and these are the people that are supposed to be on our side. And people who are saying, oh, Glenn Beck, he says he's a libertarian. What? What is it this time? What is it I'm not libertarian enough for you? I mean, who are you to dictate what that even means? If it's, I'm not libertarian enough because I support the troops while calling for an end to the war, that doesn't make me libertarian? Okay. If libertarian means that you don't support veterans and people that you sent off to battle in your name, even though it wasn't you, it was your country, and then you cheer when one of them is murdered and gunned down in the streets, then you so grossly misdefine the word libertarian that you, my friend, are the one lost in the battle fog of the French Revolution. Our soldiers have nothing to do with the policies. I honestly don't know how they do it, but they do. The men and women of our military did not enlist to live by the sword. To reduce military service to nothing more than some barbaric lust for violence is the ultimate insult and the ultimate lie about the American soldier. I don't know why they all enlist. I know they're different than me. They're braver than me. I don't think they love the country more than me. But I think they understand duty and honor more than I do. And they serve our country and our Constitution with their dying breath. Their honor is at times so overwhelming, it takes away your breath. Here they are. Somebody who signs up, eager 20-year-old kid with high ideals. Where were you? Ready to lay it all on the line and just, I don't know, protect and defend the Constitution, protect and defend their family, what? I don't know. Most of us can't even comprehend what it really means to protect and defend the Constitution or our families, let alone risk everything for it. They do. Freedom, as we found out on 9/11, is an extraordinarily fragile thing. And so many of us don't even know what it takes to defend it. We take the people who defend it for granted. Well, they'll do it. Just send them. We don't even give it a second thought. Leave it to the soldier. And when we call them, no matter how insane it might be, no matter how long it goes on, you think you're tired of the war? How do you think they feel? They go. Some fly. Some are on ships. Some are in offices. Some run supplies. But they're the ones who get thrown directly into the belly of the beast. There are those that visit the enemy where they live. I get spooked by caves on my own property. I'm not going from cave to cave where dirtbag terrorists are. They do. They go building to building, cave to cave, banging on death's door. Which one comes out? They bust in, not knowing what's on the other side. Sometimes it's just a scared family. Sometimes it's a terrorist ready to fight. Sometimes you don't know if it's a terrorist or a family. You don't know because the terrorist is a family. The soldier is required to make a snap decision that you and I cannot make. Is that an innocent kid? If not, do I kill the kid? If I do, am I sure it's not an innocent kid? Do I kill this mother who's acting suspiciously? Here they come. Here they come. What do I do? What do I do? You and I'd wet our pants. This is the decision that people like Chris Kyle faced all the time, every day. While you and I were watching American Idol, he wasn't. He was running Overwatch, charged with protecting a group of Marines. When he spotted a woman acting suspiciously, what do you do? He writes about it at the very beginning of his book. He says, I looked through the scope. Marines are coming, said my chief. As the building began to shake, keep watching. I looked again through the scope. The only people who were moving were the woman and maybe a child or two nearby. I watched our troops pull up. 10 young, proud Marines in uniform got out of their vehicles, gathered for foot patrol. As the Americans organized, the woman took something from beneath her clothes and yanked at it. She had set a grenade. I didn't realize it at first. Looks yellow, I told the chief, describing what I saw as he watched himself. It's yellow, the body of... She's got a grenade, said the chief. It's a Chinese grenade. Crap. Take the shot, but shoot. Get the grenade, the Marines. I hesitated. Someone was trying to get the Marines on the radio, but we couldn't reach them. They were coming down the street, heading towards the woman. Shoot, said the chief. I pushed my finger against the trigger. The bullet leapt out. I shot. The grenade dropped. I fired again as the grenade blew up. It was the first time I'd killed anyone while I was on the sniper rifle, and the first time in Iraq, and the only time I killed anyone other than a male combatant. Making those decisions day in and day out has got to take something out of you. We are not born to kill each other. And when you do, it has to take something out and stay with you forever. Especially if the country can't decide if they're even in the war for good or bad reasons. Marcus Luttrell, in Lone Survivor, did the same thing. He and his team agonized whether or not they should kill a goat herder and his son. They prayed as they approached, please, 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 please don't look down. And they did, and they spotted them, and then they had to make a decision. A goat herder and his son stumbled on their recon location. A friend of mine told me, as I asked a stupid question, I hate hanging out with military guys. I hate it, quite honestly. I love these guys, and I hate hanging out with them. Because I always feel like the biggest girl. You should have seen me at the Super Bowl, but I always feel like the biggest girl. But I feel like a total worthless human being around these guys. And I asked one of them, I was standing in my kitchen one time, and I asked one of them, what does it feel like to be in hand-to-hand combat? He told me, both soldiers know it's going to be one or the other. And there comes a moment when the tide turns, and you look in his eyes, and something changes. You can see the exact moment when he realizes it's going to be him that dies. He told me that's a look he'll never forget. War is hell. It's not a movie. Even if you survive, the scars have to last forever. They last on the outside of the body. Feelings of such intense feelings, I don't even know what they are. Shame, guilt, questions, I have no idea. Moral injuries have got to be more damaging than physical wounds. Because we're not built to do these things. These feelings you don't leave on the battlefield. Watching the Super Bowl at home doesn't make them go away. Our soldiers need your help. They have helped us. While we tried our best to make sense of what was going on, they got the job done. And then what do they get? They get a medal. An occasional thanks at the airport. and a doctor handing them a piece of paper with some prescriptions on it. After all, better living through pharmaceuticals, right? When our guys get back and they're having a hard time, the first place we send them is to the doctor's office, because really, who can understand what a war-torn soldier is going through better than a pencil-pushing, prescription-happy doctor? After all, he went to some of the best universities in the world. A guy who's most likely never served on the battlefield. Might have served in the military, but has he gone cave to cave? A guy will ask the same stupid form questions, pretending to listen to the answers. And how'd you feel about that? The outcome's already determined because he's going to be diagnosed with PTSD. And then the doctor will go and break out the magic little prescription pad that unlocks the gates to the wonderful world of pharmaceuticals. Oh, pharmaceuticals. Having nightmare? Here, have some Ambien. Feel a little sad about having to make that decision about the woman in the street? Have some Prozac. By the way, your name is now on a list with people with psychiatric problems, and the president is currently trying to take away guns from those kinds of people. You know, but don't worry, don't worry. And then don't worry about trying to protect your family without any guns. Just take some more pills. Don't worry about the side effects like nausea, blurred vision, seizing, vomiting, hallucinations, or suicidal thoughts. I love that one. Wow, you're giving me something to help me because I'm having suicidal thoughts, and one of the drawbacks is I might have suicidal thoughts. Yes, but if you experience any of these, call your doctor immediately. Oh, good. Can you fill out another form? Why? So he can give you another wonder drug? Our soldiers don't need wonder drugs. First thing they need is an end to the red tape. But they also need us to understand that I think we can't really help them. They need each other. The only way I can possibly relate to this is I'm a recovering alcoholic. And let me tell you something. I went to a bunch of those doctors. Oh, I could run circles around doctors. Who's a better liar? Who's a better liar about me than me? I can lie to a doctor all day long. But you know who I can't get past? An alcoholic, because he was the greatest liar about him. And so I can sit in a room with an alcoholic, and I mean, I can do it in 2 minutes. I can hear an alcoholic, and let me tell you something. I'll be like, okay, you're full of crap, because I've been there. Whether he knew it or not, I think he did. That's what Chris Kyle was doing. In a way, kind of going through the 12 steps, listening, being a friend, not trying to cure anything at a gun range, just being there, someone who could relate. Chris Kyle had been through hell. Is it so bad that maybe he was just trying to help fill the empty time of a fellow vet who was struggling and help him remember the positive experiences of when he held a gun? You people in New York will never understand. But anybody who's ever fired a gun for sport does. I'll never understand the soldier. But anyone who has ever been through it does. Maybe Chris knew the best part of medicine was being there. Only somebody who's been through it is helpful. Honestly, it's why I've never asked my good friend Marcus Luttrell what happened when he was in captivity. The curious side of me, the spectator in me, I suppose has always wanted to ask, but I never have, and I never will. And here's why. What the hell do I need that information for? What good is going to come from him telling? What good could I possibly get out of it? And what good would he ever get out of it telling me? Whatever happened is not something I can possibly relate to or help. And honestly, neither can a doctor with all of his really super smart textbooks. It's why so many people who are going through their own personal hell, whatever it is, doesn't tell the truth to their doctor. You drink or do drugs to cover something up. It's a Band-Aid. Drugs and whatever, only masks. And turning our vets into over-drugged, emotionless zombies is not the answer. Let me ask the same question I asked when we bailed out the banks. Is this really the best we can do? Really? That's it? That's it? Because that's what they did for the banks. They just wrote a prescription for more money. Don't worry about it. Oh, you didn't do anything wrong. Don't worry about it. Is this the best we can do? Really? Is this what we've come up to? Where nobody takes any kind of responsibility? Didn't we ask these guys to go in our name? Haven't they been there over and over and over again? Didn't they put their ass on the line for us? And in return, what? Here, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. It's a disgrace. It's a national disgrace. We have an obligation to the people who have done things in our name, whether we agree or not. We have an obligation to stop the war, to stop creating more wars, to learn the lessons of the past. We have an obligation. Human beings are not built to wage perpetual war with multiple deployments. Back in the 1980s, I worked with a Vietnam veteran. He still carried the emotional scars from how poorly he was treated when he returned home. He was proud of his service, but the country wasn't. I made a promise to myself. At that time, I was really young. I will never be part of a generation or a group of Americans that do that to our soldiers. So if you're a longtime listener of mine, you remember that after the decision was made to go into Iraq, before the war started, I went across the country and held rallies called Rallies for America. They were called by the media pro-war rallies. They weren't. What I talked about at every single one of those stops was whether or not you agreed with the war, the decision was made, and now that our troops were going into battle, we had to dedicate to ourselves that when it was over, when they would come home, we would treat them as heroes. At that time, I really thought that we shouldn't spit on them, that we shouldn't call them baby killers, easy stuff. At least this time around it's easy. Boy, the last generation had a hard time with that one. But I was wrong. I thought respect would be enough. If people weren't calling them names or spitting on them, everything would be okay. But that's not it. Because we think we're treating our veterans right, we are allowing another generation of Vietnam to happen. We have to not only pressure our so-called leaders in Washington to cut the red tape. Drop everything you're doing in Washington. Will you get these guys the help that's required? But we also have to pressure our state leaders. And if our state leaders don't do it, then we have to pressure our churches. The government has failed them on the battlefield. What do you say we don't fail them on the home front? Because we've always used the excuse we can't do anything about it. Washington can, but this one we can do something. And this one we will be held eternally responsible for. Each of us do what we can. I told you a few minutes ago that my stated goal at Mercury One was $500,000. To raise that money for his family. He has nothing, and the vultures have flown in. Jesse Ventura is suing this family. He wants the money. They don't have any money. We're putting this money in a trust so no vulture could ever get it. But $500,000, I don't think is enough. I'd like to set a goal of $1 million. I don't know if we can make it, but it's worth a try. Some of it will go to help those with PTSD. in real programs, not governmental waste programs. And by the way, Washington, don't talk to me about how there isn't any money. You know, the economy is bad. Oh, we're spending so we have no money. If you can scrape up $650 million on digital TV converter box coupons, or $6 billion to make federal buildings green, or $850 million for Amtrak, or $1.2 billion for youth activities. Here's a youth activity for you. Go talk to a vet. Find out who they are. We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money on abortions and distributing the morning after pill. Let me see if I have this right. How could you possibly look into our veterans' eyes when you say, through your actions, well, I mean, we wanted to make sure the teens were allowed to have unprotected sex on the weekends, but if that happened to fail, we also wanted to pay for their abortion. I don't personally care if all federal buildings from coast to coast are burning styrofoam cups for heat, or if Amtrak, boo-hoo, goes out of business. It should have gone out of business a long time ago. Have you ever ridden on it? It sucks. And I'm pretty sure that the youth of America doesn't need $1.2 billion so they can find something to do in the summer. Grab a shovel. Meet a neighbor, grab a rake or a lawnmower. You and I found out what to do in the summer. What do you say? Can we respect them enough just to have them figure it out themselves? Let me put this into perspective one last time. The vets that we're talking about, most of them signed up right after 9/11. While you and I, we signed up to figure out what was going on with our country. These guys went out to battle. Forgive me for saying that I am tired. What do you say? We help them out by changing our attitude. Maybe that's what we can do that will let this murder make some sort of sense. By beginning to look into and then understanding the solution to the problem isn't slapping everyone with a disorder label and then giving them some pills. What do you say we learn from Chris Kyle, who possibly understood this better than any of us could have?
And they're in the hospital and they're supposed to be either doing, healing physically or emotionally. It sucks to be trapped somewhere. So just being able to get out and about and only be surrounded by vets, you don't have to worry about some psychiatrist or a doctor or something. You're just out there with the guys again, having fun, cutting up. And it's just being the outdoors. It seems to really progress their healing process, and they get along so much faster to where the hospitals have now said, whenever you want them, you just take them. Because when they come back, they're on a high for about 2 or 3 weeks. I would love for people to be able to, when they think of me, think of, here's a guy who stood up for what he believed in and helped make a difference for the vets. Somebody who cared so much about them that he wanted them taken care of.